trying to debug a or to build a mobile UI framework, and so far we've built something. But the issue from the part 4 of the series was that we couldn't test as much as we wanted to. So we had a lot of issues with testing in terms of like auth reload, so that as I make the changes, because it got to a point whereby AI was stuck, and for me to be able to complete this, it required my effort. So I wanted to jump in and make these fixes, but then I need to see the changes I'm making in real time, and it was a bit of an hassle going to test, coming back, and all of those things. So it didn't really work as expected. So what I wanted to do today was to use the style of the actual Radix team directory to test this out. Because if I'm not mistaken, right, if I install from the Radix team and I make changes, it should work. Well, I'm not sure, I've not tested it, but I feel like it should, right? And I was just thinking, if I can do that with the Radix team, then I should be able to also do that with this. I mean, with the Teams native, right? Because it looks similar. There shouldn't be much difference, except for the fact that there's a lot of stuff here: the export, the tabs, the types, the modules, all of this, which we did have. But I'm not really satisfied with the fact that the mobile app just keeps failing. Like it keeps feeling so annoyingly. So what I want to do is to like remove everything that I have on the mobile app that makes it fail, remove the metro.config, like starts with the whole thing again rather than trying to patch it. So most times it's good to start from scratch if your implementation don't work. That is the lesson I've learned the hard way. So it's best to just do that if you can't get it fixed. Just especially if you are vibe coding stuff, right? You really don't want to go that approach because it's just going to mess up everything for you. If AI gets stuck and it doesn't know what to do anymore, you are literally going to get stuck, and then you have to jump in and make a lot of fixes yourself, which at the end of the day is more like you are doing the thing yourself. So based on what I wanted to do was just to show you guys how I want to debug this, right? Because I don't know, I've not figured it out, but I believe you can figure something out. So I'm just clearing the things that do not exist, rerunning the uh, mobile app to see if it works. If it works fine, then we'll bring that app back in and then get it to work. That's basically what we're trying to do. So I'm going to start the app without the native implementations, right? It still fails for some reason. Still fails. So it feels like that is not the only reason, even though I feel like that might be the only reason here. Okay, so now I have this right. Let's assume I have just a basic React Native project without all of this complexity and stupidity and all of those things happening. What is the best way to actually link? There are people that build stuff like this, right? That work on packages without using it, that want to test locally without publishing. So, what's the best way to do that? So let's look for uh, local publishing packages or libraries for, let me just say PNPN, something like this. Uh, I don't want to use PNPN. PNPN will just mess up the search query. So let's use local publishing libraries types npm. Yes, npm be fine. So continue the address. Really. All right. So there's a package called local package publisher that allows you to do that. This one says share your code with limited number of days. This. No, not that. So we can use something called the npm link, which is fine. We've tried this, yeah, which is also cool. But I don't know if this works. Verdaccio works. Okay, so I think the use of Verdaccio might be a cool one because this is actually what I want to do. But then you can't be sure until you have like an actual implementation that requires installing stuff and configuring stuff. I just want something that makes it easy. But I feel like the more I check it out, the more there is no easy stuff to use here. It just makes it a lot more complex than I want to do. So I like the fact that you can install locally like this, which think might make sense. But before even dealing with all of this, right, I just want to deal with this simple configuration without all of this, without the package itself, like the React Native package itself, the Radix Native you created. We don't want to deal with that. Just want to deal with implementation, which just our own, just the playground app, right? Without all of the native implementations and stuff. So say I don't have all of the native stuff in the app itself. Does it still work? So that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. So let's say I start it, npx expo start, and I run the app. Does it still work or does it fail? It still fails. Still fails. So this is just, I feel like it's a classic issue of PNPM workspace uh issues and stuff. Oh, man, really dislike working with stuff like this. Alright, so because it basically works, this says private monorepo, blah blah blah. Can I use it without the monorepo? I think that's what I want to do. I don't want to do it in here because it just messes it up. You don't have proper configurations. For instance, let me show you what I mean. So if I do this and go to the playground, no, if I go to the package itself, the one with the Radix themes, just the themes, not the native we built, um, and I go to the package of JSON, you see a lot of configurations, right? For the styles, for the modules, for the types, for the main, and the require, the import, everything is just properly configured. And except you need to do something like this, there's a lot of stuffs here, which the Radix team have already configured properly. And it makes a lot more sense. But then for us to be able to use this, and that is why if you try to use any of this package, it works perfectly well. I mean, even locally it works well. I can literally use it. But then when it comes to the native, it does not work well. Definitely does not work well. So two things: the package.json for the native might need to be changed, tweaked, most likely. Because for the themes, you can see the config, nothing too crazy, just something basic. No use of this path stuff and the base URL and all of those things. Just simple, right? The same ESNest, target is ES20, just something basic. How directory is this and all of those things. Declaration, include, exclude. We don't even have all of those things. So something just simple, right? So currently we know we have all of those, right? And okay, so that's it for the TS config. So for the TS config, it's just very lean, and we have all of those set up. And for the package.json, which is where the configuration should actually start from. So the configuration for the themes itself contains all of the peer dependencies, makes sense to what it should be. But the actual stuff is where the script was configured or how the script was configured, and then the other configurations that come from the files, which you can see here, the source, these tokens, and layout, which basically is the same as what we created also from the source. You can see the entire source is part of the files, but in our own package.json, we do not have something like that, and which I feel might be the problem, might be the cause of it. So what I'm going to do is tell AI to rewrite it, compare both of them, right? Which is the one from this and compare the other one. So based on, so I'm just giving you ideas on pointers on how to like debug. You might come across things like this, and you need to know how to debug your stuffs. Most times, generally when you have bugs that you don't have, you don't know, this is just how to figure it out or to configure this, because it needs real configurations. You just don't have like, oh, let's do it this way and it works. That might not be the best way. So based on this, the conversion plan or MD, we want to, I want to comp, I want to, let me say the configuration from, for Radix UI themes native, which is this. does not match that contained in Radix UI theme themes. So the question is, will this affect the use of the Radix UI themes native in a demo app like in a React native or Expo app? Um, I just want a proper configuration that will work as seamless as that of the Radix UI themes. Work for use in any project, in any other place. So that I'll send this. Now, what it needs to go like use it from wherever you want. Think about it there. So what I'm trying to explain is if I go to, let's say for instance, apps, and I want to import from, let's say I want to import something from, let's just say something like this, and I do something like this. Let me show you guys from here at Radix UI, right, which is the actual package slash. You can see all of this available. The slots, the tabs, this, the everything is available. Now, these are not things that was installed, right? Probably most of them were installed from other places. But if you compare this with what we have with the actual themes package, right, you notice that most of them are still like this configuration is here. And the only thing that required that resembles that is the Radix UI that was installed here, which is this. So if I view this on npm, for instance, let me say I view this, you see that this is a package also like Radix UI, but this is the primitives. Now the primitives here itself, going to the themes, you can see just something like this: primitive, React context, dialog, ID, slots, the tabs. So all of these are also packages. So how did he do it in such a way that he's able to use all of this, but it still works, right? So that's what I'm trying to like achieve with it. So if the configuration can work perfectly well, then we know we have that to work perfectly. So that is it. So it's based on the analysis of the configuration file, the configuration mismatch. Okay, so let me start from here. So looking at configuration differences between these, there are several critical mismatches that we did affect using the React Native package in a demo app. Entry points to source file critical. The native, this according to conversion plan, it should be that. While while Metro can compile as reset of forces consumer to compile, the TypeScript slows down your build. We break the when published to npm consumer will have this make the files list. I actually changed that because I wanted to test locally now. For local development, which one works best? Before we talk about deploying, because we need to test before we deploy. We need to make sure it works before we even think of deployment and building for production. So I need to also do that. So I'll say I understand your need to make this blog publishable, but we but for now I'm more concerned on how to use the Radix UI themes native for um, for local testing in the demo app so that it I can iterate faster without having to always have faster when I make changes to the themes native component and testing that in my demo app. Do you understand this? So that's the question. I just want you to test to tell me if it's going to work. Now I don't know. It just depends on if it says yes, this is going to work, or no, this might not work. So I don't know. Alright, so it's going to try normal. It's going to try to make fixes. So where I want to come in at this point is to make some of the structural changes, then give it back the information for the structural changes and say, okay, work with these changes and resolve and get this out of it. Because there are many things that are not working as expected. There are many design choices that was made that makes no sense. So which means it doesn't work and it can't work for this case. So um it says I understand you want fast look at blah 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 immediately reflected in this very building. Even if I need to rebuild, how does it work such that I don't need to delete stuff? So it's a points to source, missing the native, is not the playground dependencies. Yeah, I commented that I removed that. Path map means in playground ts config. For local development, keep that. This is not actually correct for device. This is actually correct. It means needs TypeScript source directly. Changes to this are picked out immediately, fast refresh, no build necessary during development. Steps to enable local development, add a package to works playground dependencies, which is one. I think okay. Let's test it out. This might be fine. I'll just say radix UI themes native uh, workspace. So the workspace should be star, right? So other dependencies, then run this, enable path mapping in your playground times. So this is the first thing I'm going to do. But then before I do this, let me run this first because I want to run the packages first to be sure it even works. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to go back here, pmi install this dependency. So after I'm done with this, run this, enable path mapping in playground ts config, which we already have, but we removed it. Yes, that was intentional. So going back here, I think I showed it the other time. Yeah, I have this. So it's telling me to uncomment this too. So I have to uncomment this. So which I'm not comfortable with doing that, but let's see if it works. So we have that. Then uncomment and update that. So there are two things, right? The native, just as it was before. This package, run this UI themes, native, source, index.txt, the same thing applies. So Azure Metro Watch is a workspace package. So we need to create a metro dot here. So I deleted it just because I wanted the new configuration. So metro.config.js, which is same as what we have. Then we update it with this new one. Like I said, it's best to start again when you don't really know what is causing the issues. Then you can walk through and understand, then you can suggest fixes. So in this case, I have the metro.config, which is fine. And the last thing is it says import and use it in the playground. Now, I'll be the judge of if it's going to work, right? Because we are not sure. But if I'm to test it from the index, can we actually import it now? So let's see if you can. So let's say I want to import Teams provider from this. Well, at this point, it doesn't give us any errors. It works just like a normal React Native safe context that we are not using because it's unused. But will it work if I run the server, for instance? I will use the example it provides, but that's not what I'm trying to see. And if I make changes, will it work? So now going to this process, it says I'm going to use npx expo start because I want it to start, right, and run. So then I'm going to run this. see if it works. I have the app still set up. I have this which I'm not using, so I'm close it. So I still have the app, which was this previous error we had. So I'm going to open it and see if we still have the same error. It looks like we will. Exactly. So we still get the same error here, which it's not giving any error here is not a problem. It's showing, displaying properly on the. Okay, you know what? I'm going to use PNPM start. I guess that should work. So we. Okay, one locker is empty rebuilding. All right, so I'm going to just do this also. So I have this here, and the next thing is still the same error. So it doesn't really still work for us. The point is the error is not just coming. I think. Let me see what the error is at this point. So it says none of the files exist. It's literally wow. Okay, so two things I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here. I'm going to be installed from the. Did I even install this? Okay, we sent PMPM I. That was 5. Oh, no, no, no. So the reason I'm doing this is because I want to update this that was added, the workspace. And by default, we've already done that. So I'm going to install from the actual playground itself also and see what we have. Now, because this keeps saying that it doesn't exist, it says none of these files exist. So it means you can't find any of the installed packages that we've already installed to the, let's say to the workspace, but we don't have it installed because we've not installed the package itself. So the whole workspace issue can be crazy difficult to understand. I'm just even understanding myself, to be honest. But I think I can keep up with it to an extent. I'm not an expert at it, but this works. So yeah, we learn things every day. This is one of the things I've learned from this project. And I can say that yeah, it has been quite interesting working on it on this particular project. So that's cool. So let me install this again. Everything's up to date. So I'm just going to pm start and check whatever I have here. So I'm not sure if this is going to work. Well, I might be wrong. Yeah, so I was not wrong. It's definitely not working. Still the same thing, which is what I don't understand. That should not even be happening anymore. Except it crashes now. Yeah, it didn't crash, it just went straight to unable to resolve module expo router. This clearly expo router is installed as you guys can see here. I say unable to resolve the module. I'm so confused as to why it's so difficult for you to find this module. It just feels like expo router is like a hack that was done and any attempt. This has been the issue for the first phase of issues we had, and that's to do with the entry file. So it's more like it's using this but skipping some other things, and the configuration is preventing you from accessing things, which I'm just so confused about. Like, literally makes no sense. So we are watching this folder, which is fine, and we are resolving to this node modules, and also we are resolving to its own to node modules from outside the package, which is this one. So if I'm to do this, it's currently importing it doesn't feel, but doing this, okay, so it's kind of adding new. How many times do I have to install? I literally don't even understand how the installation for this thing works. Why do I have to install like twice or three times to pick the changes? And it feels like it's just doing something entirely different from what I'm expecting it to do. If I click on install command, I expect it to give me the accurate files installed. This case is just different. Oh no, still the same thing with the export router thing. So the problem is it's telling me that expo doesn't exist here, which so that's just crazy. I'm sure it is here. Like I just need to look for it, which is yeah, I'm correct. This is expo. Expo router is the only thing missing. Which, if I'm not mistaken, it's okay. This is yeah. There's no router here. It just keeps it and went to schema directly. So two things top of my head that I feel is causing this is that the actual thing that should be giving this, which is should be coming from here, is not. So what do I mean by this? So what I mean by this is uh let me show you guys what I mean. Okay. So if I go to this, see what I'm saying here. There's Expo router here, which I assume is installed. Crazy enough, it is installed. But even with the fact that it's installed, still behaves as if nothing was installed, which yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around why. It's telling me all the packages are installed, which is supposed to be installed to the actual root workspace directory. And if I check here also, is there Expo router? Yeah, it is. But it's not being synced to the one outside of the project, which is where the problem is coming from because it's looking for that from out of the project in terms of like the PMPM, which is the workspace, and it's not available. So I think the problem is two things here. First is when we go to the Radix UI themes native, we have the package which contains some Expo stuff, right? Expo React and React Native without the Expo router and some other things. Obviously, I know we don't need the Expo router here, but it feels like it's expecting it, even because the other one requires it. Top of my head, that's what I assume is happening because that's the only thing I can see here. I mean, from the playground native now, it's expecting it, but it doesn't come from here, which it doesn't should not even affect now that I think about it. Okay, let me think about this for a bit. So in this case, we have this. Hmm. Okay, so what I'm going to do in this case is quite simple, right? Uh, I'm going to add the Expo router to this to see if it picks it now. Which I don't know. That doesn't feel like that's a problem to me. Like, it doesn't feel like that's the error. But I'm going to just give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'll do this. Uh, so I'll just look for this. Yeah, I'll delete this. So currently, two things I want to check first of all before I delete this. Let me check the actual background stuff to check if there is the Radix UI theme there. And the Radix UI theme here contains, nope, it doesn't contain the native anymore, which is cool. Yeah, we don't have that also here. But if you check this, it should also exist here, which is this, which means it's correct. But now there are two node modules here, one in the root, one in the workspace being used actually, which is fine. My problem is not the fact that it doesn't work. Because when we try from the Radix UI theme native, we don't get any of those clash errors that we get. I know there might be a React Native thing, but that's why we have the config to be able to differentiate and use that. So one thing we might do is to have the config.block block something dot resolver dot block list, and in the block list we do this, and when what we block from here actually is we can decide to block the actual module, which is the actual React node modules, and what I decide to block from here. But that aside, I'm still going to run this because I want to run all of. You know what? On second thoughts, I want to try something else. Yeah, still fails. Okay, so since it still fails, I know it has nothing to do with the node modules because, yeah, that fails too. So it's going to be this, if I'm not mistaken, this node modules block that automatically shouldn't exist. So node modules path, or maybe I should do that. So detected a change in metro.config, start it again. Let's see if it picks that. Nope, still the same thing. PMPM, blah blah blah, expo, this does not work. So you see resolving the module from there, which should not even be happening because I've already commented out. I wonder why that is happening right now. So we have this in node modules. Yes, same thing. Same. Honestly, if you guys have any ideas on how to fix this, I will really appreciate that. I'm stuck at this point. I never knew configuring stuff like this would be so problematic. Jesus. What? No, I'll go ahead with this. Yeah. So I'm going to delete everything, reinstall everything again. I know it doesn't really look at an installation problem based on what I've seen. I don't know, just call it intuition, call it experience speaking here. I don't know. But I think it's one of those two things. Because you feel like it should work, then you feel like it shouldn't work. Just weird on both ends. Okay, let's see where this installs. Okay, installation is done, and next thing to do, yeah. So two things you can see is not installed the one from the themes, which you don't need. I even totally want to remove the one from the themes completely, so I know I don't have that. I really want to do that right now, like really want to do that. Maybe it's the one messing up my whole management here. I don't even know. So I want to do this now. PNPM install this. So currently we don't have this installed, right? Because we have it installed here, yes. Do we have it installed here? Yes. But do I need this? Actually, no. But I still need the node modules because, of course, it from here, which is fine. Connected to the workspace, you run the other two, which is fine. I feel like I feel like I should do this. I feel like I don't need it. I only need the one inside of the actual module, right? And if there's a way I can block that, the way I'm thinking about it, I might be wrong, but that's the way I'm thinking about it. And I'll be right also, so who knows? Let's see. Yeah, so he complains, he says, yeah, I can't find module this. So even though I have it installed in my playground, it still doesn't find it. Yeah, so yeah. So we still need that actually. Okay, so a lot of things we installed, well not that much, just the basics that we already have in the OG package.json file, which is this. As you can see, Node, React, React DOM, React DOM, Prettier, Turbo, TypeScript. That's all we have. And I'm beginning to think, yeah, maybe I should do the same thing here, right? Because what do I need? I need the Metro config, which I'm actually using. So if you go to the playground, yeah, the playground uses something somewhat similar. We have the dev dependencies does not even exist here. Like React DOM and the types don't exist inside here because it's being used, right? The things just out the workspace. All the other dependencies do not. So what if I do the same thing for the native? All package.json this is and just out here, just the same way I have it here. But if you look at the type of nodes and the React is 0.02, this one is 19.7. ESLint is installed, config is installed, TypeScript is installed, which yes. But what if there are other things that like because if you compare the one from the playground, it takes in the other stuffs that are actually needed. The React use, React DOM and all that I don't actually need. And from the workspace I've configured it that it should not install anything from the playground, which is fine, which is correct. But then if you go one more step and actually go to the GitHub for Radix and check here, yeah, we see that they have their own PNPM workspace to apps and packages. So that means everything in apps get installed, anything in packages get installed. But we have to remove that. We have to remove it from our own projects because we don't need the global installation. So yeah. But that still leaves us with one more thing. The dependencies. Okay. So we still have React DOM here. Do we need React DOM in Expo? Like I'm just trying to understand. Let me check my other SP projects. Yeah, because I need to be sure if React DOM is actually a thing that is needed. Oh yeah, it is. Oh, that's nice. I never expected the DOM would be there still. Okay, so yeah, these are the stuffs you need. But if I still go back to the config for the actual base module, it only has to go to JSON, right? Nothing else. So I'm thinking, what if I have the metro.json also here instead of having it inside of this place? Right. Yeah. So that might just work too. So if I have the metro here, just the way the tubo is being okay. So this is a config. This is just a file. This is just a config file. So they are two different things. But you get the idea, right? So the block list, I'm blocking the node modules like this. Yeah, something like this. So I'm blocking those modules. I'm also adding it to the workspace package, which is just weird. How do I block it and add it at the same time? Okay. And yeah, so I have the watch folder, which is a themes native, which is fine. And the next thing must probably be installed up to date. Then we install from here too. This is fine. Okay, so let me not jump far. Okay, no, let's do this. Uh, mhm. Okay, let's go package here for the native. Look, for the packages, this doesn't really have any issues. Like this feels fine to me. I feel like it's just okay because it doesn't mess up anything. So it's just on its own, just fine. Which is okay. So for the packages, yeah, all well and good. Even though that from the themes UI native, yeah, is a lot of stuff. So going back to the node modules here and the metro config in this file. So we have the watch folders, block list. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Okay. Let's test this out. Still giving the errors. This still fails. I'm sure. Yeah. And it crashes. Double sure. Okay, so I think I've been showing you guys error for the past like many minutes. Yeah, I don't want to do that now. Yeah, never expected to be showing guys errors just like that. Especially at the point where we started well with this project, went faster, so fast. In fact, I thought we'd be done with it by now. At least a prototype. I mean, but nope, it doesn't. Hmm. So it's still complaining of the export router. So what I'm going to do is just pick the router from here. Yeah, it can't be that bad. Let's try it and add it to the one here. All right, so I think at this point I've already done 1 hour of, or almost an hour of trying to get this thing to work, and it's not. So I don't want to bore you guys with fixes. So what I'm going to do is, today being a weekend, being a Sunday, I don't want to do much work in here, showing you guys bugs. I'll call it a day here. Try to resolving this on my own, the background. just like an agent will. Yeah, so once I can get that working, hopefully I get that working as I want it to work. And if I get that working, then I'm going to give feedback for that. So if you're not subscribed or notified for when our videos comes out, I build a lot of stuff on this channel, just building stuff that I feel like quite interesting, and tell you the challenges I face, what does not work, what works, how you can use any library to unblock yourself or not choose anyone at all. I specify and use a lot of libraries, so I also tell you a lot of libraries that are good, all of those things. Consider subscribing and not get so you get notified as well for when it happens. Basically, that is it. That'll be all for today's part of this series. Hopefully, you guys have learned something. So, yeah. Thank you for watching and bye for now.